Hello everyone. Welcome back to some more LoFi yoga. Let's go ahead and begin with a deep breath in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 3, 2, 1, and breathe out 2, 3, 4. This video is inspired by all of the sun and moon salutations that I've been doing lately. The cyclical movements of the flows tend to allow you to really focus on your breath and aligning the movement with your breath, and also allow you to focus on form. And it also has a lot of repetition, and that gives you the option to build the intensity each time that you go through, or to just really refine your movements. So while we're going through everything today, if you catch your thoughts drifting to your to-do list or ruminating on the day before, just return your focus to your breath and focus on where your body meets the mat, and allow yourself to get lost in that instead. As you can see, we're starting out in child's pose, so go ahead and bring the big toes together and sit your hips back towards your heels. Stretch the arms out in front of you and just allow your breath to naturally deepen. The next time you take an inhale, go ahead and lift the gaze, and as you exhale, come on up to the tabletop position. You want to stack your hips over your knees and then carefully lower your chest to the floor and find a nice puppy pose stretch. And you can stay in this regular puppy pose, or you can also bring the elbows down to the mat, press your palms together, and then bring the thumbs to the base of your skull behind your neck for a nice upper back stretch. From here, we're going to come on up into a tabletop and then take a few rounds of cat-cow. Inhaling as you drop the belly, lift the gaze and the tailbone, and exhale as you round the spine and press into the ground with your hands. Wherever you are in your breath, on your next inhale, find a neutral spine, and then you're just going to make some circles with your hips. And of course, take those circles in both directions. You can pause or linger anywhere that feels good here, and just take your time and really enjoy the movement. The next time you find yourself centered, tuck the back toes, press the hips back for a downward facing dog. And while you're in your downward facing dog, you can Pedal out your feet, bending one knee and then the other to stretch out the hamstrings. You can also shake your hips. You can shake your head. Take whatever movements you'd like to. When you find some stillness, go ahead and inhale and lift that left leg for three-legged dog. Then exhale, bend the knee to open up the hip. Make some circles with the ankle or the knee, whichever you like, both directions. And then inhale that left leg right back to three-legged dog. Exhale and bring the knee to the nose right up the middle there. Inhale back up to three-legged dog. And then exhale and bring that knee to the opposite elbow. And then you're going to step it through and come to the sides of both feet and extend that right arm up overhead. Stack the shoulders for a fallen triangle. Make sure you lift those hips. And we're just going to pause here for a moment. If you'd like to take a half bind, you can. And as you exhale, bring both hands to the mat and then inhale and lift that leg three-legged. And then exhale, bring that knee to your nose, right up the middle. Inhale back to three-legged dog. And then exhale, bring that knee to the same elbow and then drop the shin to the mat and find pigeon pose. And for your pigeon, once your hips are squared, you can stay up on your hands if you'd like, or you can lower down to your forearms, or you can stack the hands below your forehead, or you can completely stretch out. It's up to you. The key here is to make sure that you can breathe deeply. If you're struggling to get a nice deep belly breath, then that means you're too deep into the pose and you should walk it back a little bit. Wherever you are in your breath, on your next inhale, you're going to lift the gaze, plant those hands below the shoulders, and then exhale and press back for a three-legged dog, lifting that left leg. From there, you're going to bring that left foot in between the hands, drop the back knee, and we're just going to come up with the hands on that front knee and just sink into the hips a little bit for a nice low lunge. You can also extend the arms overhead for a crescent lunge if you'd like. From here, we're going to bring our hands either to blocks like I am here or down to the mat, and we're going to shift our weight back and find a half split or runner's lunge. You want to flex the foot. That does intensify the stretch, so if that's too much, you can keep your toes down onto the mat. And of course, folding is optional. As long as you're able to breathe deeply, then whatever expression of the pose you reach is fine. On your next inhale, I'm going to go ahead and lift the gaze and then shift back. Drop those toes and come forward into another low lunge just for a moment here. Before we tuck the back toes, lift the back knee and come on up into a high lunge. In this high lunge, you can keep the hands on the knee like I am here, or you can lift the arms up overhead, but we're just going to shift and come into a warrior two, nice and strong. And as you inhale, flip the front palm in reverse, bringing that right hand along the leg anywhere. And exhale and extend that bent knee in the front. And take a nice stretch there, and then inhale forward and find a triangle pose. Block is helpful here. You just want to stack the shoulders and look up at the right thumb. From there, we're just going to make our way to a nice star pose. So we're going to turn both feet facing out, arms out, and then exhale as we sink into a goddess pose, bending into the knees and the elbows. Take a nice inhale and then exhale as you turn to one side and then the other. Doesn't matter which way you go first. Inhale as you come into center, and then exhale and turn the other way. From there, you're going to inhale back to center and then exhale and sink into a nice deep yogi squat. You can sit on a block here if you need to. Take a moment. And then we're just going to come right back up into goddess pose. Since toes out, knees bent, elbows bent. And then another twist. Exhale as you turn, inhale back to center. Exhale as you turn the other way. Make your way back to center with an inhale. Exhale, straighten out the knees, star pose. Now we're going to turn the left toes parallel to the short edge of the mat. And we're going to find a triangle on the right side. Again, using a block, stacking the shoulders, looking up at the left palm. Exhale, come on up, and we're just going to stretch right back, bring in the left hand along the leg. Inhale as we bend into that front right knee. Find a warrior two. We're going to turn that back foot, find a nice high lunge here. Again, arms extended or on the knee, whichever is best for you at the moment. We're going to go ahead and exhale, bring the hands down, drop that back knee. We're going to take a nice crescent lunge or a low lunge. You can extend the arms up overhead or bring them to the knee, whatever is good for you, and just sink those hips forward. We're going to drop the hands down to the mat or to blocks. I only have one block here, but it worked. And then sit back with the hips, flex the front foot, and just find a nice half split. And again, you can stay with your chest lifted, or you can fold over that right leg. Whatever is comfortable for you, as long as you can keep your breaths nice and deep and consistent. Inhale, lift the gaze. Exhale, drop the toes down to the mat. And now we're going to lift right back up into a nice low lunge, crescent lunge, either one, bending into that right knee and sinking the hips towards the right heel. Exhale, plant the hands, tuck the back toes, and then we're just going to press our way back into a three-legged dog with the right leg up. Exhale, bring that knee right to your nose, and inhale back up to three-legged dog. Exhale, bring the knee to the same elbow, and then we're going to drop the shin and find a nice pigeon pose. So you want to square off your hips to the mat, and then lower yourself as much as you like, or stay sitting upright with the chest lifted. The next time you take an inhale, go ahead and lift the gaze. And then we're going to plant the hands right below the shoulders, tuck the back toes, and lift back into a three-legged dog. Inhale that leg up. We're going to exhale, bring that knee to your nose, right up the center. Inhale back to three-legged dog. Exhale, and bring that knee to the opposite elbow. Step it through, and find fallen triangle. Left arm right up. Lift the hips, and of course half bind is optional. If it's in your practice, go for it. Exhale, bring the hand down. Inhale, lift that right leg for the three-legged dog. And we're going to exhale, open up the hip, and make some circles. Inhale back to three-legged dog, and then you're just going to find a regular downward facing dog, both feet on the ground. I'm just going to take a moment here before we drop the knees and take a child's pose. Sit those hips back on your heels, big toes together. You can do the knees wide or closer together. Just depends on what you need. Wherever you are in your breath, on your next inhale, you're going to lift the gaze and you're going to come on up into a tabletop and take a few rounds of cat-cow. Inhaling as you drop the belly and exhale as you round the spine. The next time you inhale, find a neutral spine and then tuck the back toes and lift your hips right back into a downward facing dog. From here, we're going to lift the left leg, find three-legged dog with inhale, bend that knee, and then we're going to take a wild thing if you'd like to. Just step that left foot down and reach back. This is optional. You can just stay in the three-legged dog. If you did flip, go ahead and exhale, plant the hands, and then inhale and lift to three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to your nose. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, bring that knee to the opposite elbow, step it through for a fallen triangle. Inhale that right arm up. And this time I did go for the half bind. You don't have to if you don't want to. Just make sure you're pressing those hips upward. Release the bind if you had it. Plant those hands and inhale back to three-legged dog. Exhale, bring your knee to your nose. Inhale for three-legged dog. Exhale and bring your knee to the same elbow. Drop the shin and sit down into a nice pigeon. And maybe wherever you were on the last time, you could try to go a little deeper this time. See if you have a little more room, a little more access to flexibility. If not, just do it the same way you did before. It's up to you. The next time you inhale, lift the gaze, plant the hands below the shoulders, go ahead and tuck the back toes and inhale back up to three-legged dog. Inhale or exhale, bring the knee forward, right up the middle. Inhale for three-legged. Exhale, step that foot in between the hands, drop the back knee in the top of the foot, and find your low lunge or crescent lunge. And sink the hips towards that left heel. And we're going to go ahead and find our half split runner's lunge. And again, use a block or don't, it's up to you. Flex the foot or don't, it's up to you. Wherever you are, inhale, lift the gaze, plant those hands, go ahead and find another crescent lunge or low lunge. Drop the hands down to the mat, tuck the back toes, and lift up into a nice high lunge. You can keep the hands on the knees or lift them up overhead. We're here for just a moment before we shift and turn that right foot parallel to the short edge of the mat for a nice strong warrior two. Inhale, flip the front palm and reverse your warrior. Exhale and extend that left knee. Inhale, come up for a triangle pose. Plant the hand either on a block or on the leg or on the mat, whatever you have access to. And this time I went for a half bind. You don't have to do that. You can just keep those shoulders stacked, arm right up. And we're going to go ahead and rise. We're going to turn both feet pointing out towards the corners of the room. Find a star, and then exhale as we sink into a goddess pose. And this time we're going to inhale and lift one set of toes and drop them down. Inhale and lift the other toes. Exhale, drop. And then inhale and lift all 10 toes. Sink a little deeper into that goddess pose. Exhale, drop the toes. And we're going to sink into our yogi squat. Take your time here. And of course you can sit on a block if you like. We're just here for a moment before we rise back up into goddess pose. And then we extend both arms, straighten the legs, star pose. We're going to turn the left feet parallel. And then we're going to find triangle on the right side. So stack the shoulders. Half bind is optional. Inhale that arm up if you had to bind. Exhale. We're going to rise on up. We're going to reverse. Keep the legs straight. Inhale, bend that front knee. Exhale. Come back up to warrior two. And then inhale as you turn to find a nice high lunge. You can do arms up or hands on the knee, whatever feels good here. Then we're going to exhale, bring the hands to the mat, drop the knee back on top of the foot, and find a crescent lunge or a low lunge. You can take a back bend here if you'd like one. It's all optional. We're just going to drop the hands down to the mat, find ourselves a nice runner's lunge, half split, with blocks or without, foot flexed or not, folding over that front leg or not. Lots of options here. Go ahead and inhale, lift the gaze, and we're going to bring the toes back to the mat with an exhale, plant those hands, and come right up for a nice low lunge, crescent lunge. Sink the hips towards that right heel. We're going to plant the hands, tuck the back toes, and then kick back for a nice three-legged dog with the right leg up. Inhale, or exhale, bring that knee forward. Inhale, back up to three-legged dog. Exhale, bring the knee to the same elbow, and we're going to find a nice pigeon on the right side. And again, you can repeat exactly the same way you did before, or you can try to go a little deeper. The next time you take an inhale, go ahead and lift the gaze. We're going to plant those hands under the shoulders, tuck the back toes, and lift into a three-legged dog with an inhale. Exhale, bring that knee forward. Inhale, back up. Exhale, bring it to the opposite elbow, step it through, fallen triangle. Left arm up. Half bind is optional, but if you want it, take it. Press the hips forward. If you had that half bind, inhale that arm back up. Exhale, drop the hands, and then inhale for three-legged dog. Bend the knee, and if you're interested in a wild thing, go ahead and flip on over just for a moment. If not, keep yourself in three-legged dog, and then we're just going to find a nice downward facing dog for a moment. Press into it, really enjoy it before we drop the knees, and find puppy pose. So we're going to keep the knees stacked over underneath the hips and just walk the hands forward and press the heart to the mat. And maybe you took the prayer hands before, maybe you want to try it this time. You have a little more room. Either way, enjoy the puppy pose. Inhale and lift the gaze. Go ahead and walk the hands below the shoulders and then just make some circles or swing your hips from side to side. Whatever feels good. Just take a moment to release the back. And then we're going to inhale that right arm up overhead and exhale and bring it across our body. And we're just going to repeat that for a few rounds just to get the shoulders nice and open before we finally drop that right shoulder, right ear down to the mat. You can press into the left hand. You can also take a half bind if you want to. It's totally optional. And while you're in this pose, go ahead and press the hips over to the right side of the mat to really get into the upper back shoulder area. If you took the half bind, go ahead and inhale and release that. And then we're just going to press into that left hand, bring the right arm up overhead, and then we're just going to do that on the other side. So we're going to inhale the left arm up, exhale, bring it across the body. A few more rounds, stacking the shoulders. And then for the last one, really want to stretch it open. And then go ahead and drop the left shoulder and left ear to the mat. Press into the right hand or go for the half bind if you'd like. And you want to draw your hips over to the left side of the mat to really get into the stretch. If you had the bind, go ahead and inhale and release. Bring that right hand back to the mat. Inhale and lift the left arm right over your head, and then bring it to the mat. And from here, just going to press it hips back into a child's pose, knees wide or together, whatever feels good for you here in the moment. And we're just going to sit with our breath. If you prefer Shavasana in like corpse pose, that's fine. You can go ahead and stretch out and take space, or you can just stay here. If you're like me and you find yourself struggling to center your thoughts, something to focus on, where I am right now is exactly where I need to be. You're welcome to take as long as you like in your Shavasana, but for the end of this video, I'm just going to make some small movements, slowly, carefully make my way back to awareness. And as we do that, I just really want to say thank you so much for moving through some cycles with me, and I hope you enjoyed everything today. As we always do, I leave you with a breath. So let's take a deep inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 3, 2, 1, and breathe out 2, 3, 4. I hope you have a good rest of your day and be well.